Yep.
All right. Greetings, mighty companions. Anna Kujawa here. Class. And I'm going to open my class as I always do with an opening meditation. Greetings, Matt. Right on, perfect timing. So, opening meditation for just 5 minutes or so. The purpose of which is just to allow our minds to come back to land and rest in the present moment where we happen to be. So go ahead and close your eyes and take a breath. And we instruct our minds. We tell our minds, hey mind, it is safe to come back home to the right now. And so we invite our minds gently and lovingly to come back to the present moment, that it may rest in the right now. When our minds are lost in the past or trying to plan for the future, our minds are not at rest, and our minds are not open to the infinite possibilities that are present now. And so as we take a breath, we begin to open our minds to the infinite potential, the infinite possibilities that are present now. And we allow our minds to just rest. Rest from analyzing the past, and rest from trying to anticipate or plan for the future. We allow our minds to rest now, which means allowing our minds to trust the plan and the power that is now. I let my present trust focus my mind in the now. I allow my mind to rest in my present trust. Breathe it in. Now, back to now, where anything is possible, where everything is healed, where all answers await me in the quiet of the now. Now. Where the voice for truth and healing's always waiting to answer me, to comfort me, to heal me, and to guide me. Now. This holy instant now. And we tune into, and we feel for the presence that lives forever in the present. We feel for it. We acknowledge it. We open our minds and our hearts to its love and its wisdom. And then we engage that presence and we say, Spirit of the now, speak to me that I might be healed, that I might be inspired. Guide me. Speak to me of what you know about me and for me, you who love me. And then listen and open. What does that presence feel like? That presence that lives in the present. That presence that knows you and loves you and was created to guide you and to make sure that you never lost your way along. What does that presence feel like? Let's go ahead and offer ourselves to the Spirit of the now, that the Spirit of the now might use us to bring healing to the earth. Go ahead and offer your body as its instrument, its communication device, that it might communicate with the world the good tidings. The good tidings of the familyhood of us and the fatherhood of God. Spirit, I give you my body. Use my body as your voice, your hands, your feet, your mouth. You want the earth to be healed. I want the earth to be healed, so our will is one. What you want, I want. And for a moment, breathe in the experience of your will being one, your mind being integrated, having one purpose, one shared purpose. Breathe it in. One-mindedness, right-mindedness, one will, one purpose. No more split mind. What does it feel like to have one shared purpose, be of one mind, one will, one purpose, with the truth, with the light? Breathe it in and let it heal your mind. Let it unify your once fractured and split mind. remind yourself, when I am healed, I am not healed alone. On behalf of all the earth that is one with me, I ask for the healing of my mind. I ask for the unification of my mind, my will. On behalf of the earth that was one with me, I ask for the healing of my mind, that I might extend my healing to the world. When I am healed, I am not healed alone. Beautiful. And take a breath. Bring your awareness back to the room and back to your body, sitting in this place at this time. All right. And when you're ready, take a breath, yawn, stretch. Move your fingers and your toes and your nose and see how it glows. All right. Okay. Welcome back. Nice to see you. Brave soul. Really brave soul. Amazing. Wow, dude. Okay. Well, this session is just a continuance of last week. Now, I'm not doing the same section, but it is the same message. Just like the course is always giving the same message over and over. And the section that we are on today is called The Responsibility for Sight. This is core Course in Miracles. This is like if there was a section in the Course in Miracles that is the core fundamental, this is it. All right. So, if you're ever wanting to know what A Course in Miracles is about, this is the section. This is the section. The ideas in this section give you the ability to change your mind and to change your world in the blink of an eye. That's how powerful these ideas are. Just like last week.
Which chapter are you in?
It's chapter 21. If you have the blue book, it is chapter 21, section 2, and it is page
448.
Thank you.
In the blue book.
Awesome. If you have the what we call the original edition, which is the black cover, that is chapter 21, section 3. And if you have the Course in Miracles, the complete and annotated edition, which is the purple covered version, it's chapter 20. Is it chapter 21? Chapter 21, and it's called The Power of Decision. So is that right, Greg? Can you, in your book, can you see it's The Power of Decision? What's it called?
Yep, The Power of Decision.
The Power of Decision.
Page 662.
662 in the complete and annotated edition.
What page was the black book?
In the black book, I don't know, but it's 21.3 in the black covered book. 21.3. All right. Okay. Here we go. So, all right. So it says the responsibility for sight. We have repeated how little is asked of you to learn this course. What is the little that's asked of us to learn this course? Well, it's the same small willingness that you need to have your whole relationship transformed to joy. That's the first part. It's also the little gift you offer to the Holy Spirit, your higher self, for which your higher self gives you everything. It's also the very little on which complete healing rests. It's also the tiny change of mind by which the crucifixion is changed to resurrection. Okay, so that last sentence, it's the what is asked of us to learn this course. It is the tiny change of mind by which your challenging, difficult, painful life is changed to a life that is free and full of joy and freedom. Okay, so what is asked of you to learn this course? Okay, so what did we hear? It's a small willingness. It is a little gift you offer to your higher mind. It is very little on which happiness rests, and it's a tiny change of mind by which your fearful, painful life is transformed to a free, happy, healed life. Okay, that's what's asked of us to learn A Course in Miracles. Tiny change of mind, little willingness, a little gift of very little, okay? That's what is saying is asked of us to learn this course, right? So very little willingness. Okay, so, and being true, what's the little that's being asked of you to learn this course? It's so simple that the little that's being asked of you to learn this course cannot fail to be clear, completely understood. The little that's being asked of you to learn this course is so simple that you can't fail to completely understand it. Now, you can reject it, yes, but the little that's asked of you to learn this course is not ambiguous. Which means if you choose against the little that's asked of you to learn this course, if you choose against that littleness now, it won't be because the little that's asked of you to learn this course is obscure, but rather that this little cost that's asked of you to learn this course seemed in your judgment to be too much to pay for peace. Okay? So,
Too much pain left in the world.
exactly. I know you say it's only a little that's being asked of me to learn this course, but it's still too much to ask. It's too much to pay for peace, in my judgment. Even though it's a little, it's still too much to pay to have complete peace, to have all of my relationships transformed, to have my painful, fearful, limited life be changed to a life of freedom and joy and aliveness and abundance. That is just too much to ask to have all that. All right? If you judge against what the Course in Miracles is saying, is asking of you to learn this, that's why. Not because you don't understand it, not because it's difficult, not because it's complicated, not because it's a lot to ask, because you just don't want to do that. That's too much to pay to have all that. Wow. Right. Because why? Because I still am getting a lot of juice out of my suffering ways. Okay? I haven't wrung all of the last drops of juice out of my suffering yet. I still believe that if I just do my suffering in a different way with a different person, then finally I'll get my way and I'll have peace and joy. Okay? That's what that paragraph said. All right. So, what do we hear? The Course in Miracles says, Course in Miracles, this course only asks of very little of you to learn this course. All right. It's very simple. It's only a tiny bit. It's only a little. It's only a little willingness. It's teeny, tiny, okay, of willingness. Now, any questions on that? All right. Are you, yes?
Just a comment. It really just struck me when reading it this time. The idea of a tiny change of mind.
Yes, tiny change of mind.
It doesn't seem tiny to me most of the time.
Correct. Okay. And now
but
we heard why.
Is that saying because how little of my mind I actually use?
Yes. Well, better you say it than me. Yes, and thank you for saying that, because even though it's a tiny change of mind, the reason why it doesn't seem like a tiny change of mind to me is because I still see a great value in the suffering, in the difficult suffering life that I'm experiencing right now. I still think that if I just work it a little differently, or find a different person to blame it on, then it'll all work out according to my plan. Okay, So it's a tiny change of mind. It's a tiny willingness in order to have my entire life transformed and resurrected from just a whole life of fear and guilt and pain and suffering and lack. Wow, that's what a deal. Okay, a tiny change of mind and my whole world is transformed. All my relationships in my entire life, all my suffering transformed into a life of freedom and joy and peace. Okay, what a deal. All right. Now we're going to hear what that tiny little change of mind, the tiny little willingness that is being asked of us to learn this course and have our whole life transformed. Here's how it goes. Are you ready? It says, this is the only thing that you need to do for vision. I see what to do. I know where I'm going. I get what's going on. Vision, happiness, release from pain, and the complete escape from sin, which means shame and guilt, all to be given you. Okay, so stop there for a moment. So we're hearing what's being offered here. Make sure we hear what's being offered. Is anybody here listening or here who could use some visions, some kind of area of confusion in your life? I could use some vision here. Let's see what's going on, see where I'm going, see who I am, see what to do from here. Vision. Happiness. Anybody got any pain that they would like to experience release from, that they've been working on for a long time? Tried this, I tried that, I tried this, I tried that. Nothing's worked. Okay, some pain. Said what kind of pain? All release from pain and complete escape from any shame and any guilt. And I love the last part, all to be given you. We don't want to overlook that part. All of that to be given you. Wow. Now, that's all. It says all we have to do is that one thing, that all of that is given to us. What could that be? Well, say only this, but mean it with no reservations. Why? Because here the power of your healing, your release, your freedom from suffering lies. Okay, so now all I have to do is say this with no reservation, and then all that is given to me. All right, let's see what it is. It says to say this to yourself: I am responsible for what I see. I choose the feelings I experience, and I decide on the goal I would achieve, and everything that seems to happen to me, I asked for and received as I had asked. Wow. Okay, I love it. Todd's like, that's all you gotta do. Right, and interesting, all you have to do is say that. But that is the last thing on earth our ego wants us to say. That's the last thing we would think to say. That's the last thing that we would think to say ever. And this is saying, if you'll just say that with no reservation, that's the little willingness, the tiny change of mind that's being asked of you to learn this course and have your whole life transformed from an experience where you're being crucified to an experience where you're resurrecting into who you really are. Wow. All right. Now, I'm going to read it to you, but I'm going to read it to you again in a slightly different way so that it's very present. I am responsible for what I'm seeing now. Whatever I'm seeing now. So what I want you to do is I want you to bring to your awareness a situation that you have been crucifying yourself with, one of your patterns. I want you to bring that situation to your awareness. And then we're going to say this to that. Okay? So we're going to say it like this. I am responsible for what I'm seeing in this right now. However I'm seeing it, I'm responsible for how I am seeing it. I am choosing the feelings I'm experiencing right now in this situation, in this relationship. There was a plethora of other emotions or feelings I could have felt in this situation or relationship. And so whatever feelings I'm feeling, I chose those feelings. Hell, I could have felt grateful. I could have felt curious. I could have felt all kinds of feelings. But I chose to feel the feelings I'm feeling right now. Okay? And then we say also, and I decided on the goal I have achieved in this situation or relationship right now. Whatever occurred, that's the goal I decided on. That's what I wanted to happen. That's why it's happening. Okay? Then you say, and everything that seems to be happening to me right now in this situation, in this relationship, I asked for, and I received exactly as I asked for in this situation or relationship right now. Whew. Okay. That's what we call radical responsibility. And this is the very tiny change of mind, the little willingness that is asked of us to learn this course and to have our whole life transformed from one where we feel like we're being crucified to one where we're just being, it's just glorious every day. Wow. All right. That's the tiny change of mind, the tiny willingness. Yes.
The Bible says, ask and you will receive.
Yes.
Everybody gets all, what should I ask for? What should I ask for? It should have said this sentence, and
That's
everything that seems to happen to me, I have asked for and received as I ask.
Exactly. If you really want to change what you're experiencing, what you're receiving, instead of thinking about, ooh, I'd like this to happen, ooh, I'd like this to happen, and you can go do your vision board, even more powerful is to say, whatever is happening to me right now, I asked for.
And I've gotten it.
And I received exactly what I asked for. And all the feelings I'm having right now, I decided upon. The goal that has been achieved, I decided on that goal. That this is the real manifestation prayer. This is the ultimate manifestation prayer. Because once, remember what it said, once you have a tiny willingness, notice it says tiny willingness, tiny change of mind. When it says tiny willingness, what does that mean? That means you don't have to believe that completely. I don't have to see how I asked for it, okay? I don't see how, I don't remember sitting there drinking coffee and asking for that person to treat me like that. I don't remember that. You know, you don't have to see right now or understand or even believe that you asked for what's happening right now. You don't have to believe it. Because it's true, it works when you say it. See how that goes? So I don't have to understand how I asked for that situation. I don't. All I have to do is have a little willingness to say the obvious and to speak the truth about it. And this says, all I have to do is say that, and then the Spirit of truth and healing, my higher mind, transforms it all for me. Remember it said, all to be given you. Isn't that beautiful? The transformation of your life from suffering to freedom is given you, all to be given you. Just by a tiny willingness to say this, even if you don't see how it's true right now. Isn't that beautiful?
Wow.
Isn't that beautiful? Now, it says, now remember, if you've heard this and you are still not using it as a transformation tool, if you already had read this before, but you notice it's still not your first response when you're suffering, that's how you know that in that situation where you're still using the old past solutions that didn't work before and you're not using this, that's how you know that you are still valuing the suffering, the pain, the righteousness, the grievance more than you say you want peace. And you're innocent. And it's just a mistake. But the key to happiness here is responsibility. Not blame. Not blame. Remember, responsibility doesn't mean blame. Okay? Responsibility, I'm responsible for this, I chose this, is totally different than what a schmuck am I? What an idiot. What's wrong with me? Totally different. All right. Okay. Now, so in any situation where you're not using this, that's your clue that, yeah, I'm still kind of wanting the grievance more than I want the miracle. Just be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. And be loving with yourself. And then say it. Without believing it. Don't wait till you believe it to say it. Okay? Because you're not going to believe it till you say it without believing it. And then it's proven to you. You're not going to believe it till you say it without believing it and then have it proved to you before your shocked amazement. Okay.
Thank you for clarifying that. The idea that just use it, to just use it, because
Yes.
the one part that I've gotten hung up on this was the almost parenthetical with no reservation.
Yes.
I've gotten hung up on that,
Yes.
meaning, well, you know, if I'm not really sincere when I say this,
Yes.
then it's just not going to work. But you're suggesting just use it.
Exactly. No reservations mean I'll say the whole thing right now. I'll just say it, you know, instead of I'm responsible, but they are too.
Oh, yeah.
That's a reservation.
So just mean it in the moment.
Yeah, just exactly. You know, I'm willing to say it with no exceptions, no qualifiers,
Excuses.
you know, no excuses. Exactly. Thank you. Yes. Yes.
Well, it's interesting that later on, of course, in chapter 27, what we were studying last week is, I have done this
Yes.
thing,
Yes.
and it is this I would undo.
Yes.
So that says it all, too.
That's exactly.
In that one sentence.
Exactly. This section just follows perfectly because it's the same message. The secret of salvation, meaning the secret of freedom, a secret you've been keeping only from yourself, is it is this I have done, it is this I would undo. Okay. So this is very similar. So I see the theme that Spirit's working for me right now. Now, then it gives, the next paragraph gives an instruction. It says, deceive yourself no longer that you are helpless in the face of what is done to you. Okay? When you say that prayer, that change of mind, that tiny willingness prayer, when you say it, you are deceiving yourself no more that you are helpless in the face of what is done to you. Stop deceiving yourself. You're not helpless in the face of what is done to you. You're not a victim of the world you see. Stop deceiving yourself. Tell yourself the truth, even if you don't believe it. This is not happening to me. I am responsible for this, even if I don't remember choosing it, deciding for it. Deceive yourself no more. If you're suffering, Course in Miracles says, pain is proof of self-deception. This hurts because I'm deceiving myself. As soon as I go, I did this unto myself. It was a mistake. Mistakes are for correction. I did it to myself. I'm responsible. Suffering gone. Okay, where does pain come from? Self-deception. What's the self-deception? This is happening to me again. I can't believe it's happening to me again. I can't believe, if they were different, I'd be happy. If this were different, I'd be happy. This is happening to me. That is where the suffering part is coming from. Why? Because look, if it's happening to you, then you don't have any control over it. And now you got to fear it. Now you feel like you just got to live with it. Now you're afraid of it. Now it seems like it has power over you. Now you're afraid of it. That's where the real suffering that you're experiencing is coming from. It's happening to me. which means I don't have any control over it.
Went from effect to cause.
Exactly. But when you know you are doing it to yourself, suffering gone. Because, hey man, if this came from my decision, and I know I can change my decision, I do change my mind all day long, which means, hey, this could be different. I could change this. And so, poof, suffering gone. So suffering is like, oh, it's happening to me and I have no power. I'm helpless. Suffering is, I'm helpless in the face of what's being done to me. That's suffering. And as soon as you go, oh, yep, I did it to myself, you know, and what you're saying is, I'm strong, I'm powerful, I'm powerful, I'm strong. Well, if I'm powerful and I'm strong, and that the power, my decision has power, well then shoot, you know, I've just changed my mind. Maybe I won't do it today, but you know, I could do it anytime, so I'm good. No more suffering. Pain is proof of self-deception. So it's saying here, use this little willingness prayer to stop deceiving yourself and to get out of pain. However that pain's going, physical, mental, emotional, however. Now, then, so once you acknowledge that you're not helpless in the face of what's being done to you, then the next thing to do is this. Acknowledge only that you've been mistaken. And then guess what happens? All effects of your mistakes will what? Disappear. It didn't say gradually fade away over time. It said disappear. Wow. So what? Just acknowledge, hey, I did this unto myself. This came from my decision. My decision has power. And it was a mistake. That's it. I did this unto myself. I'm responsible for what I'm saying and feeling. I did it to myself. And it was a mistake. And then all effects of that mistake disappear. Wow. You mean the physical mistakes? Yes. Financial mistakes? Yes. The effects of the relationship mistakes? Yes. The results of the financial mistakes? Yes. The results of the physical mistakes? Yes. Disappear. Wow. So there's where the forgiveness comes in. So first you take responsibility and then you acknowledge that it was a mistake to think I wanted that. No blame, no blame. It's just a mistake, I learned that if I suffer, I get my way. I learned if I'm hurting enough, I'll get my way. I learned that pain brings me more than peace. I learned that. Of course, I'm making that mistake. No guilt, no shame, no blame. If I had learned better, I would have decided better. That's where the forgiveness comes in. And according to this, that's where the power comes in. I'm responsible. I decided for this, and that was a mistake. If I had learned better, I would have decided better. I didn't learn the truth from my parents, and their parents didn't teach their parents, and the parents before them didn't teach them. So it's not like I'm a failure. It's not like I'm an idiot. It's not like there's something wrong with me. I just learned amiss. And it was just a mistake. It's not a sin. It's not a sin. I chose that painful relationship. And it was a mistake. If I had learned better, I would have chosen better. There's the healing. Wow. Decide what? That you just acknowledge that you've been mistaken. Not decide you've been mistaken, just acknowledge the obvious, acknowledge the truth. I've been mistaken, and all effects of your mistakes will disappear. Wow. Hear that formula? See how simple it is? See how simple it is? So simple. So simple. You can't fail to understand what it's saying. Yes, you can reject that. But you can't say, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't understand what you're saying. You can't say that. Wow, all right. So, any questions or comments before we go on to the next paragraph? What did you hear it saying?
So you might remember that I came to see you about a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I had something that was taking place that week that really rattled me mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And you gave me some language to write down.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't believe it. But I went home and dutifully did it. And now the situation is not resolved in worldly terms yet.
Mm-hmm.
But gradually over the course of about a week or two, I can't even tell you mentally, I am so at peace with it.
Wow.
So it's a great success story from that perspective.
Absolutely. Perfect success story. You heard it, you didn't believe it, but you used
I
it.
just kept using it. I kept your language by my bedside.
Nice.
Just read it.
Thank you. Yeah. And then now you have peace where you had suffering, you had pain.
Right.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you for that testimonial.
Wow.
Yes. Any other, and Jerry, if you're looking, if you see any questions or comments, will you let me know if you see any questions or comments?
Okay.
Anybody else here? What is it, what goes through your mind as you hear this?
Well, the mistake thing, how we take so many things seriously when we shouldn't. It really goes back to, again, chapter 27 of what you were reading last week. Into eternity we're all as one. There crept a tiny mad idea at which the Son of God remembered not to laugh.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's just a mistake.
It's just a mistake.
Nothing happened there.
Nothing happened.
Yeah.
Nothing happened. Yeah. I mean, eventually you're going to get to the point where you realize that all that you were feeling afraid and guilty and ashamed of what never really occurred, because it's impossible that anything can change the fact that you are still innocent, that you are still worthy, that you are still whole, that you are still complete, that you are still powerful. What you think happened that hurt you did not occur because who you are was not damaged. The damage that you think occurred, the damage you think occurred in childhood, the damage you think your relationship has done to you, the damage you think your choices have done to you, have not occurred, because you, who you are as a deathless, timeless spirit, has remained whole and complete and cannot be affected by something that God didn't even create. That's what eventually we're going to learn.
Irene says, so interesting. In BC, I am implying there's no order and difficulty of miracles that applies to me. This is not impossible for me to transform my own suffering. I'm included in this, i.e., no order of difficulty.
Yes, absolutely.
And then
Yes.
Trish wants you to recap the formula.
Okay, all right, I will. I'll recap the formula in a moment. What were you going to say?
And Kathy Hill says, I am loved, I am loving, I am lovable. I made a mistake and I still am loving, loved, and lovable.
Exactly.
I will do better next time.
Beautiful, beautiful, excellent, Kathy. Okay, what were you going to say?
So, for some reason, Holy Spirit brings back a lot of Bible verses to me and commingles it with the Course in Miracles. And this past week, I kept hearing, "Blessed are the poor, for such is the kingdom." And as I meditate on that this week, what I came to is, you don't have to be poor.
Yes.
Be humble.
Exactly.
But the kingdom is affordable to the poor.
Yes.
Nothing else in this world affords the poor anything. And this sentence here, this is the only thing you need to do for vision, happiness, release, pain, blah, 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 all to be given you. Cost nothing.
Exactly.
Your
Thank
miracle
you for saying that.
by your bedside
Yes.
cost you nothing. It's just
Exactly.
being obedient,
And thank you for saying that, because it's a wonderful retranslation of the biblical term, the poor in spirit, blessed are the poor in spirit. In this, what it really means, the reason why the poor in spirit are blessed is because poor in this sense means humble. This is the ultimate in humility.
Taking responsibility.
Yeah, not self-degradation, but true humility. True humility means I am responsible. I had something to do with what is occurring. Because my mind is that freaking powerful, even if I don't see it, even if I don't recognize it. So the truth is that those who are humble do receive everything. What is it? The meek shall inherit the earth. Same thing. Those who are responsible, who recognize that they are responsible for their experience, they inherit everything. Why? Because like it says, when you have true humility, then all that happiness, vision, release from suffering is given you. Don't forget that part. Given you. You inherit the kingdom. You inherit everything, meaning it's all given to you when you have true humility, true meekness. Not meekness like, I'm just a miserable little slug. You know?
Humble doesn't mean we have to scrape and crawl.
Yes.
It means we are in celebration of our true divinity.
Exactly.
And we stand in
exactly. When you acknowledge yourself as you were created by Source, of course says that's true humility. Whereas the ego says, if you acknowledge that you're one with God, you're a child of God, that's arrogant. That's blasphemy to say, I am one with God. Of course, Miracle says it's opposite. To say, I am not worthy is arrogant. That's the arrogance, because that's you saying, I know better about myself than the one who created me. I am my own author. Really? You can't, my goodness. You couldn't even figure out, the answer to that problem today, but yet you are the author of your reality. So that's what, it means when it says the meek shall inherit the earth. When you are truly humble, meaning truly responsible, then release from pain and vision, happiness, release from pain, and complete escape from guilt and shame, all are given you. Whew, that's a lot. Okay, anybody could stand for some of that to be given to you? All right, I know it's just Monday, but now I'm going to recap the formula. So this is the formula, or the prayer, or the little change of mind, or the little willingness that is asked of you to learn this course and to receive all of happiness, vision, release from pain, and guilt and shame to be given to you. Okay? So you say this, even without believing it, you say, I am responsible for what I'm seeing. I chose the feelings I'm experiencing, and I decided upon the goal that I have achieved here, and everything that seems to be happening to me in this relationship or situation, I asked for, and I received exactly as I asked. That's the formula, the tiny change of mind, the little willingness that is asked of you to learn this course and have your whole world where you feel like you're being crucified be transformed into a world and a life where you are free and you are abundant and healed and whole and just having a darn good time all the time. Wow. You see why this is like core Course in Miracles. This is like the core of this curriculum. All right. Thank you, Jerry, for sharing that,
Sure.
what you read. Now, then it's going to tell you the truth about us. It says, it's impossible that you, a child of God, be merely driven by events outside of yourself. It's impossible that you be a victim. It's also impossible that the happenings that come to you were not your choice. Why is that? That's because your power of decision is the determiner of every situation or relationship in which you seem to find yourself by chance or accident. Wow, that's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. That is the truth about yourself. That's how powerful the power of your decision is. That's how powerful your mind is, and so that's how powerful your decision is. Your decision is that powerful, where it is what determines everything that you are experiencing. That's how powerful your mind is. That's how powerful your decision is, whether you recognize it or not. That is the truth about you. Wow. Why? Because you're a child of God. You're a creation of God. That's why. In other words, God, the Creator, created us in God's likeness, which means that our mind and our decision is as powerful as our Creator's. Our Creator created us having the same mind power as our Creator has. The only difference is God was the originator. We didn't create God, but we certainly can create just like God. And how God creates was the power of His decision. And how do we create? The power of our decision. That's how we create. That's what it means to say, ye are creators. Ye are gods. Ye are creators. Because you have the power of decision. Because your Creator gave it to you. Because you're just like your Creator. Wow.
So the Course says that we're the dreamer of the dream too. Would that be more the ego's version of it, and what you were just explaining is more the spirit?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. The dreamer of the dream is somebody who's unconsciously creating with the power of their decision. Okay? Someone who's creating chaos, and they feel like a victim, it's all happening to them. They're still creating with the power of their decision, but they're totally unconscious about it. They're just certain that it's all happening to them again. Right? But the Creator is when you recognize, hey, I was created by a Creator. I'm created as a Creator, and the way I create is with the power of my decision. All this is coming from my decision. If I don't like it, what do I want to decide differently? Well, for starters, that would be a good change. That would be a good place to start. For starters, I decide that even if I don't recognize it, I am responsible for what I'm experiencing. That's a good place to start. When you realize, okay, I've decided on this. Obviously, I'm more powerful than I realize. What do I want to decide now? Well, I'm going to decide I'm responsible.
I guess the part that I have trouble with still kind of is the accident part.
Yes. Yes.
When I was driving and I was hit by a drunk driver, that still is kind of hard for me to wrap my head around.
Indeed.
I've always said, okay, well, that was just his decision to drive.
Correct.
Drunk.
Right.
Collided with my decision.
Yes, right.
To be on that street at that time. Okay, that's kind of part of it, but that's not the whole, is it?
Right, correct.
I need to go
according to this, even though you don't remember or see how you could have decided on that or wanted that had to have occurred. Now, when you look at all the other places where we are deciding for relationships and situations that hurt us, then you go, well, I see how I could decide for something that hurts me. For instance, I decided to give that person my phone number, for instance, okay? I decided to eat that thing, or I decided to take that job. In those situations, you kind of can see. So in those situations, you see how you do decide to hurt yourself. You decide for things that hurt you, somehow thinking that it will help you. So just because you don't see how you could have thought that in that situation, you can see how you have thought in other situations and relationships that you would benefit from something that was really toxic or poison.
I may not see it in this particular instance, but it still does exist.
that's why it said, your power of decision is the determiner of every situation in which you seem to find yourself by chance or accident. Okay, all right. And if nothing else, you were the one who decided to get in your car that day and go to at this specific time. Okay, I understand. I was hit by somebody, you know, twice in the last couple of years, and I was just sitting there, you know, seeming to think my own, you know, silly thoughts, you know. But I know that there are lots of other situations and relationships where I made a choice for something that hurt me. You know, thinking that for some reason, oh, that would be great. That'll give me what I want. You know, and so you don't. That's why it says willingness, and in this case, willingness means faith. You know, you would if you had certainty of the truth, you wouldn't have to practice willingness. You wouldn't have to practice faith. You know, so that's why it's saying a little that's asked of you. Why is it asked of you? Because you don't believe it.
No.
That's why it's something that's being asked of me. Because I don't believe it, you know, even though it's true. Now, here's how you can prove to yourself that it's true. You ready for a little way to prove something? Okay. Here's how you prove to yourself, or you let it be proved to you that it's true. Take that situation, for instance, where you were hit by a drunk driver. And you say, even though I can't see it and don't believe it, I am responsible for that. And you say that whole thing. And you say, and I was mistaken. Now, when you say that, even though you don't believe it, and the next thing you know, all the effects of that car accident start disappearing, then it's proved to you that it was true.
So any pain I had.
Any pain, any physical, physical effects, financial effects, PTSD effects. You know, if they disappear, then you know, then it's proved to you that it was true. So, little test. If you're having trouble believing that that's true, go ahead and just work it as if, little willingness, little faith, and see what happens. Okay? Thank you, because that's what I need to be doing. Because I am still having some effects from being hit by two people. You know, when I was sitting there minding my own business. Megan's like, I didn't do that. I was just driving, minding my own business. I was sitting at a stoplight. You know, and I'm still experiencing effects of that. So I know now what I need to be doing more. Okay, so thank you for that.
I am the word says that it doesn't matter. Nobody was wrong. We're confined to a dense planet that hinders, a dense planet steeped in fear that hinders our frequency.
Okay, well there you go. And I wanted that. That was for me, I thought that would be a fun thing to do. You know, that tiny crazy idea crossed my mind. Hey, how about going to a place where you're in these bodies, they only last a few years, they're completely vulnerable, 100% maintenance, you have to spend every waking hour thinking about how to maintain them, broken into by a few, where you go on vacation occasionally, even though you have a big bill to pay. Wouldn't that be awesome? And then you die. And we didn't laugh. We didn't laugh at that. We were like, yeah, that sounds great. Sign me up. Wah, and then you're born. Yeah. So, you know, so even unto coming into a body here on earth was a decision. It was a crazy idea that we forgot to laugh at, that we said, yeah, that'll be great. You know why? Because then I can get something from God that's all my own, that not everybody else can have. I can have myself a little specialness. Right. So that also is what we are responsible for. When that idea to come here into a body, we said, yeah. We said, great, that sounds fun. Not realizing that we were literally like going into hell. You're gonna have this really vulnerable body. It's only gonna last a few years. It's gonna take every waking hour and all of your resources to maintain it. You're gonna have to work a job 5 days a week for years, 65 years. Maybe then you can retire, all to maintain this very, very fragile body, broken into by periods where you go on vacation. But you also have to pay for that.
Nobody wants
Sure.
What a deal.
What a deal. What a deal.
Nobody wants to go to hell, but we all volunteer.
Exactly. Exactly. We're all afraid of going to hell. Come on. Hello.
We volunteer.
Stop being afraid to go to hell. You are in hell. Okay. Now all you need to do is take responsibility about being in hell. And don't forget, the other thing you need to do is say, it was a mistake. It was a mistake. It's not, I'm not being punished. It was just a mistake that I made, thinking that this would be fun, thinking that it would give me something more than everything. God was like, I created you as everything. You have everything. You can't lose everything. I gave it to you forever. You are everything. You have everything forever. And I'm like, no, can I have a little more? Can I have just a little more? You know, I mean, just a little more than you gave everybody else. Is that okay? You know, and God said, what do you mean everybody else? What do you mean more? How can I have more than everything? And then, I was born. That's how it happened. And it was a mistake. And it was a mistake. And now if I acknowledge it was a mistake to do that and to come here, then what happens to all the effects of my decision to come here? They disappear. And then all I'm having is a good time. How to have a good time on earth while you're here. Course in Miracles, one of the workbook lessons says, it's a workbook lesson, so I want you to say this all through the day. Only an instant does this world endure. And more, that idea, that lesson just brings me so much joy. I look around like, I'm so glad this only endures for an instant. And notice it says, only an instant does this world endure. You know, it's like an endurance race, you know. It's like you're born and then you gotta it's like the ultimate reality show. Where you gotta make it through this and then you gotta make it through that and then you gotta survive naked and afraid, you know, with all the bugs. And then you gotta survive childhood. That's a lot, man. You survive childhood, you pretty much can survive anything. You survive high school, and then you survive this job, and then you survive all the broken hearts, one after another, after another, after another. You know, it's like a reality show that we put ourselves in. Wow. So thank God this reality show that we made up called life only lasts an instant. When you wake up, you're gonna go, God, that was a weird dream. And I was only asleep for 5 minutes. Just like when we wake up in the morning from our nightmares, our sleeping nightmares. We wake up, it seems like we just went through like a hellacious lifetime in hell. And it was only 5 minutes between your two alarm clocks, between your two alarms. All right. So then it says, no accident nor chance is possible within the universe as God created it, outside of which is nothing. Okay? So that's the truth that we don't believe, that we were just talking about. No chance, no accident possible in the universe as God created, outside of which is nothing. All right, I do not believe that, but that doesn't mean I can't use it and benefit from it. All right. Which means that if you are suffering, it means that you decided that suffering or sin or guilt or shame was your goal. That's what that means. That's pretty black and white. If you suffer, then suffering was your goal, period. That also means that if you're happy, that means you must have given the power of decision to spirit, your higher mind, who must decide for God, which means peace and happiness for you. Wow. This is the little gift that you offer to your higher mind. And even this gift your higher mind gave to you to give yourself. For by this gift of you saying, I'm responsible, is given you the power to release your Savior, which means everybody, that they may give salvation, which means healing, unto you. Okay? That's the little gift that you give to yourself that really, actually, your higher mind actually gave to you to give yourself. Wow. So you really have to do nothing except say it. Except say it. Little gift, little willingness, tiny change of mind. If I am suffering, suffering was my goal. If I'm happy, what does it mean? If I'm happy, it means I gave the power of decision to Spirit, who must decide for peace and joy and abundance for me. Wow. Beautiful. All right, here we go. Okay, so do you hear what it said about if you are happy, what happened? What must have happened? You must have given the power of decision to your higher mind, who must decide for happiness for you. So it's interesting, if you are suffering, it's because you decided to suffer. Period. If you are happy, it means you gave the power of your decision to something who would decide for you. Isn't that interesting? In other words, right now it realizes that we can choose for suffering for ourselves, but right now we won't decide for happiness for us, which means it's almost like we have to give the power of our decision to the higher mind, which always will decide for happiness. I won't always decide for happiness for myself. And so what it's saying here is that what you got to do is you got to go, Spirit, would you please decide for me for happiness? Because I don't decide for myself for happiness. I don't even believe I deserve happiness consistently. So Spirit, in this situation, which I'm experiencing fear or pain, would you please decide for happiness for me? In other words, do for me, Spirit, what I cannot do for myself. So, and that's the formula for happiness. Notice it didn't say happiness means I decide for happiness. Do you see that? Because it knows you ain't gonna do that. So it's a fail safe. It's a protective device. And so it goes, Spirit, higher mind, please decide for happiness and peace and safety and abundance for me in this situation or relationship. Please do for me what I cannot do for myself. Please decide for happiness for me. And then what happens? Happiness. Interesting. So happiness comes from saying, I give the power of my decision to the higher mind, which will always decide for happiness and safety and peace for me.
Diana says, wow, and Sophia says, higher power, choose happiness for me.
Yes, exactly. I love it. Yeah, it's not saying, I decide for happiness. I decide for happiness. It's not saying, say that. It's saying, say you are responsible for what you are experiencing, and then say to higher mind, and please decide for happiness for me. Because I probably won't. Obviously, I'm not. So, wow, how interesting. So never do you go, I decide for happiness. You say, I'm responsible, and higher mind, please decide for happiness for me. That's the formula. All right. Okay, you were going to say something?
Yeah, just a few chapters on in rules for decision. If we're not allowing Holy Spirit to choose our happiness, then by default we're letting the ego make the decision
Yes.
to crucify ourselves or hurt ourselves in some way by default.
Yes. Say that one more time.
The core idea in the rules of decision is that we never make decisions by ourselves.
Yes, correct.
And so when we're happy and we recognize that we've given the power of decision for our happiness to our higher self.
Yeah.
When we don't do that and we're miserable and in pain and suffering, the other advisor is the ego.
That's right.
And most of us choose that by default as we stumble blindly through this world.
Exactly. Yes, thank you for saying that. Then Rules for Decision says we never make decisions by ourselves. We're either getting advice from one advisor or the other. We're either asking advice from our ego, or we're asking advice from our higher mind, Holy Spirit. Okay? And so when we suffer, it's because we said, ego, would you please tell me what to decide that would hurt me and that would lead me to feel completely dissatisfied.
And guilty.
And guilty. And broke. And sick. And stupid. And ego says, gladly, go with them. Go get that job. Go eat that. Go take that substance. Go do that. And then, da-da-da, next thing you know, we're suffering and we're blaming it on somebody else. Or blaming it on the terrible world.
Marry that person.
Yeah, exactly. Go take that job. Oh, you know that person who's totally not available and they don't like anything you like. They have totally different purpose, totally different interests, and they really don't like you. Go for them. Go get them. Go convince them that you are the one.
Ego, opposites attract.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Because of ego.
Exactly. Opposites attract. Go for your opposite. Go for your opposite.
There was something I was reading, it was in a Christian Science thing. It says, when the human mind is weak and bewildered, then it relinquishes control to the divine mind, which is the only mind over death, guilt, and illness.
Yes. Beautiful. Well said. Beautiful. I looked down at my watch and I'm shocked. I just was like, I thought maybe it was much earlier. Okay, so I'm going to finish this last paragraph and then we'll close up. So it says, so instruction, don't begrudge then this little offering, this little gift, this tiny change of mind. Don't begrudge that. Because if you withhold that little tiny change of mind, that little offering, then guess what? You will keep the world as you now see it. Okay? So don't begrudge that little offering. That's too much to ask. To say I am responsible for what I'm seeing. Don't begrudge that little offering, because if you withhold that little offering, that little gift, you're going to keep the world exactly as you see it right now. Okay? And then it says, never was so much given for so little. You just say, I am responsible for what I'm experiencing, and I was mistaken, and then whoosh, everything is given you. Never was so much given for so little. And it's in the holy instant that this exchange is effected and maintained. So what's a holy instant? It's an instant where you exchange your willingness to be responsible and to be mistaken for a happy world. Okay? That's the exchange that happens in the holy instant. In the holy instant, where you make that exchange of your victim consciousness for responsibility, here is the world you don't want brought to the world you do. Does anybody have a life or a world right now they would like to exchange for heaven? Okay. Anybody got a life that feels like you're being crucified that you would like to exchange for a life where you feel free and appreciated and supported and rich? Anybody up for an exchange like that? Okay. Anybody got in a relationship they would like to exchange? I would like to return this relationship. I would like to exchange this. All right, Anna, well, you can do that. But are you responsible for this relationship? Yes, I am. And was this relationship a mistake? Yes, it was. Okay, great. Thank you. We'll take this. And here is the one that is happy and powerful and abundant and safe. Oh, thanks. The exchange. In the holy instant, you can make that exchange. A world or a life that you don't like for a world and a life that you love. In the holy instant, you make that exchange. You go, here's this crappy life or crappy situation. I'm responsible for it in every way, shape, or form. It was a mistake. Mistakes are not a sin. And I ask you to decide for me for a new life. Beautiful. In the holy, never was so much given for so little. In the holy instant, this exchange is affected and maintained. Here, in that exchange, in the holy instant, the world you don't want is brought to the world that you do want. And here, the world and the life and the relationship you do want is given you, given you, given you, given you, given you. Why? Because you want it. Wow. Well, I'm going to give this to you. You know why? Because you want it. And you took responsibility for making it. That's it. Wow. Yet for this, the world, the life, the relationship that you do want, given you in exchange for one you don't want, for this exchange, the power of your wanting must first be recognized. The power of your wanting must first be recognized. You want a new life? You want a new relationship? You want a new relationship, a new life, a new world to be exchanged for the one you don't like? Okay, are you willing to recognize the power of your wanting? Are you willing to recognize the power of your wanting? Are you willing to recognize that your mind just might be powerful enough to have manifested what you're experiencing? Okay? That's all that's required. In other words, you must accept your wanting's strength and not its weakness. In other words, you must perceive that what is strong enough to make a world can let it go and can accept correction if your mind is willing to see that it was, can't say it, wrong. Wrong. Okay. That's how hard it is for us to say that. So if you want to have that exchange be made for you, where the new life, the new world, the new relationship is given you because you want it, then that you can have that if you just are willing to recognize that your mind was strong enough to make it, that your power of decision was strong enough to make it, what you don't like. You want to receive something different than what you made that you don't like? Acknowledge your mind is strong enough to make it. My mind is strong enough to make this painful situation or relationship. Yes, my mind is. Why? Because my mind was created by an unlimited power. That's why. Don't forget that. And that, he says, and that's all that it, and that you're wrong. My mind is powerful enough to make this, and I was wrong. That's it. That's the tiny little offering, the tiny little willingness, the tiny little gift that is asked of us so that we can give the world the life, the relationship over that we don't like and just receive a new one. It just be given to us. Wow.
Irene says, in a holy instant, I am making an exchange, i.e. wanting a miraculous relationship with my key relationship.
Yes, beautiful. Yes, so Irene, is your mind powerful? Is your wanting powerful enough to have made a relationship you would like to exchange for the one Spirit would have for you? Okay, that's the question. Is your wanting powerful enough to have made this the way you experienced it? Is your wanting powerful enough to have created your past as you experienced it? Evidently. But that's all that is required for me to exchange my past as I see it and receive a different interpretation / experience of my past. How about that? Never too late to have a happy childhood. If your wanting is powerful enough to have manifested the one you did have. Wow. Love that. Remember, A Course in Miracles says that the truth heals and corrects retroactively as well as progressively. Why is that? Because the truth isn't bound by time. If it's true, it's always been true, and it always will be true for everyone in all space and time. Time has no effect on it if it's true. Which means when you accept the truth about yourself, when you accept the power of your mind, the power of your decision, the power of your wanting, when you accept its power, then you are changing you're exchanging your own past. You are changing your past as well as your future. I love that.
Patricia?
Anybody got some past that they would like to exchange? Anybody here would like to have a different past? You know, one where you were only loved, only recognized, only seen, only heard, only supported, only loved.
Patricia Longo says, I love my life wholly instant by instinct.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Beautiful. I'll join with you with that. All right. Anything else? Any other questions or comments? We're going to stop here for the moment. So anybody like, well, yeah, but, I mean, you had a great yes, but. Thank you for that. That was a good one. Thank you.
I have more. No.
You have yes, you have more yes, buts? Yeah, but.
We all do.
I'm sure we've all got bags full of it.
Yes.
We're all going, but everybody's got a point.
Don't be a yes butthead now.
Sophia, oh, go ahead.
Maybe we can talk some session more about time and, because that is a
Yeah, the
mind
metaphysics of it.
bender. You know, because I mean, of course we'll talk about how we're just mentally reviewing everything that's already happened.
That's right.
I mean, there is no
Right.
future. It's, but
Right.
okay, so I guess all these scripts have been written and we're going down some path.
Yes, the course says that. Yeah. Yeah, we can talk about that on time. Yeah, that's a whole other session. The metaphysics of the course. And that, but I basically just shared how that occurs, where, you know, time is an illusion, everything is happening simultaneous. The Course in Miracles says you are the one breaking up time into chunks, past, present, future. You did that. You imposed those are man-made, you know. The truth is that it's all happening simultaneously. Yes, we don't. That's the metaphysics. And the reason being is because that which is real and that which is true is not bound by time. It's not like you had a beginning, or then you had a middle, or then you died. You know, that's just not the way, reality is. That's not the nature of reality. That's not your nature. That's not the nature of any reality. That's not the nature of truth. You know, it's not the truth about you that you were born, and then you grew, you withered, then you ended. That's just not true about you, because you're a spirit and you weren't born, and you don't die. Well, same thing about truth, same thing about reality. That's why time, as we have constructed it, is a man-made construct. And if it's a man-made construct, that means that you can freaking change it. You can experience it differently. Instead of experiencing time as going on forever or going by too fast, you can experience it however you want.
And this section is telling us that we're experiencing it that way because we wanted to experience it that way.
Exactly. You know, because I want my grievances more than I want the truth, then that means that I need time to be past, present, future. You know, so I want everything to stay as I see it, even though it's not good for me, so that I can keep my grievances. So, but if I was done with my grievances, then I would see the true nature of reality, my own true nature.
If I let go of my history, then I exist outside of time.
Exactly. If you're not done with if you're not done milking the grievance and needing to be right, then you got to keep your past as you remember it. That's the price you're going to pay if you need to be right more than you want to be happy.
Well, the grievance will tie you to that.
Absolutely, exactly. Because without your past, where's your grievances? So if I still want my grievances more than I want to be peaceful, then I've got to keep the past thinking that it happened exactly as I remembered it and got to hold on to it. You know, in other words, I got to keep dragging that ball and chain behind me every step.
Well, and again, that's our based on our decision. Elsewhere in the Course, it talks about how memory is as selective as perception.
Exactly.
And by selecting the memories of grievances, we're keeping our attention focused on the past.
Exactly. I'm dragging that baggage from my past with me in every holy instant. That could be free, something new.
It's like we're tied to the very thing we want to let go of.
Exactly. Right.
Move ahead because we're still tied to it.
Exactly. And one of the things we really need to say, I am responsible for what I'm experiencing, I've chosen the feelings and the goal here, is our grievances. That's one of the main things that we need to be saying this to. You know, you got that grievance because you want it. It's not true that somebody damaged you or hurt you or made you less powerful or made you less valuable. That's not true. You holding that grievance because you want it. That's why. Yeah. Because so when you say, I want this grievance, I'm responsible for it, and this grievance, holding this grievance is a mistake, then all the effects of your grievance disappear. How about that?
Sophia says, do I have to milk the grievances as long as my script says I do, or can I just stop? Why wouldn't I just stop if I can?
Good question. Good question. It's the best question you can ask.
It's a sane question.
That is a sane question. Congratulations. You just asked a sane question. It's a miracle. Whenever we ask that, why would I do that to myself? That's the best question you can ask. Yeah. So, yes, dear.
Okay, well, going back to the prayer, I am responsible for what I see. I guess the way that I interpret that is I'm the center of the universe, and the people that are around me I've created. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you agree with that?
I wouldn't agree that you created them, because God is their source. But you certainly are seeing them according to your interpretation.
Okay.
So yeah, you're seeing them according to your choice.
So you were going on, I have the power to create. So what's going on around me isn't necessarily what I've created. Because that prayer is saying it is.
Good question. Remember it says, I am responsible for what I'm experiencing, which also means perceiving. So I didn't create the people around me, God did. I didn't, but I'm certainly responsible for how I'm experiencing them. So great clarification there, Dan. Really perfect. Perfect thing to close on.
Well, I want to follow a little bit more on that, which would be that with your teaching and with Wapnick and with the many years I've got with this course, that truly, if I could totally forgive the illusion of the people that are around me and my perceptions of that, and truly come to a healing place just in myself,
yes,
that's all that it takes for the healing of the world.
Correct. Yes. You for sure will have you will see the real world. And of course, the miracle says, truly, once you've accepted the truth completely for yourself, you don't need to be here. Once you have accepted the truth for yourself and completely forgiven, which means completely taking responsibility, there's a good chance, you're not going to be here for long. Because once you know the truth, and once you've taken full responsibility, and you've forgiven by acknowledging this mistake, you're going to be like, okay, next. So
unless you choose to.
Yes, and the Course says, and some people do wake up completely and then choose to stay. The Course says that's rare. It's rare that somebody is here and they wake up completely, or they come here awake and they choose to stay. That's rare. But for the most part, once you wake up completely and take responsibility and forgive, you're going to be like, next. But then your footsteps, all of your footsteps to your leaving the Course says you leave lit footsteps for others to follow. So as you're like, oh, I forgive, I'm responsible, and I forgive, it was just a mistake, and then you disappear, you still have left lit footprints for others to follow,
Beautiful.
meaning to make the same decisions.
Wow.
So, it's not like you're like, yeah, I'm out of here, I'm responsible, and it was a mistake, bye, see ya. No, you are helping all the others here to make the same decision so that they too can wake up and go home.
Because when I'm healed, I'm not healed
Because
alone.
when I'm healed, I'm not healed alone. Exactly. Awesome. Beautiful. Thank you. Good feedback. Thank you guys watching on Facebook for your feedback. Thank you. All right. So now we're going to do our integration meditation and the financial expression of appreciation. Thank you guys for your financial expressions of appreciation. I thank you. You helped me to continue and maintain my Miracles ministry and also this blessed Miracle Center. Thank you so much. And if you guys watching on Facebook would like to make a contribution to this Miracles ministry, then you can go to my website, annakujawa.com, and go to the services we offer page, and there are some PayPal buttons. And thank you so much for your gift to my Miracles ministry and to the Miracle Center. And also, if you'd like to learn more about my holistic counseling practice called Miracle Psychotherapeutics, you can go to my website, annakujawa.com, and learn more about my holistic counseling practice and how to contact me and make a session. All righty, guys. So now we're going to do an integration meditation. We're going to take 2 to 5 minutes and use the idea. Use the idea. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn on a little bit of music. Okay, so go ahead and close your eyes and take a breath. Beautiful. And just take a moment to tune in and feel how hearing these ideas in this healing circle feels. When you have allowed the truth into your consciousness and you have shared those ideas with others in a healing circle, what does that feel like? Breathe in that feeling and take note. Beautiful. All right. I want you to bring to your awareness a situation or a relationship in which you have been experiencing pain, suffering, whether that's physical pain or emotional pain or psychological pain. Bring to your awareness situation or relationship where there's some kind of suffering going on, some kind of pain, whether it's emotional pain, psychic pain, physical pain. All right. And just for fun and for a little contrast, I want you to just for a brief moment take note of your story, the story you're telling yourself about why you're in pain or why you're suffering. What was the old story? If they were different, I'd be happy. No, this always happens to me. The world sucks. The world is mean. People are mean. What is the story you're telling yourself about why you're suffering? All right. Now, if that story was true, then the suffering would end. So if the suffering hasn't ended, that means the story you're telling yourself ain't true. And thank God. Thank God. All right. Now let's apply the healing formula. Let's offer the little gift that's being asked of us. Let's offer the tiny change of mind that's being asked of us to have this situation or relationship completely transformed from a situation or relationship where you feel you're being crucified to a situation or a relationship where you feel free and happy and healed. So we say this. So having that situation or relationship in the forefront of your awareness, I want you to say, I am responsible for what I'm seeing here right now in this relationship situation. I am responsible for what I'm seeing here. And take a breath. And then say to yourself, and I chose the feelings I'm experiencing in this relationship or situation. I chose the feelings I'm experiencing. There were other feelings I could have chosen from. And take a breath. Beautiful. And then say, upon this situation, and I decided on the goal that I have achieved in this situation or relationship. The goal that has occurred here, what has been accomplished, I decided on that goal. That was my goal. And take a breath. And notice any resistance that comes up. And then say, and everything that seems to be happening to me in this situation or relationship, I asked for and have received exactly as I have asked. And take a breath. Beautiful. And now we say the final piece. I acknowledge, and I acknowledge that I was mistaken. I acknowledge I was mistaken. I've asked for this. I called to this. I'm experiencing this. I'm responsible for this. And I was mistaken. I was mistaken in thinking that this would give me what I wanted. I was mistaken in thinking this would make me happy. I was mistaken in thinking this would make me safe. That was a mistake. Just a mistake. And take a breath. And then I want you to say to yourself, and mistakes are not sins. And mistakes are just for correction. And the last part is where we say to the spirit within us, our higher mind, we say, please decide for my happiness for me. You know what truly makes me happy, and only you believe that I deserve happiness, and only happiness. And so I ask you to decide for my happiness in this situation or relationship for me. Spirit of truth in me, higher self, higher mind. And thank you. Now I want you to just breathe. And then I want you to acknowledge the power of your wanting. My wanting is powerful. To the power of my wanting, manifesting this is nothing. I acknowledge the power of my wanting. Because what was powerful enough to have made this is powerful enough to let it be undone. Now, the next part that we'll do, the last part, is I want you to take this situation or relationship or life that you've been experiencing suffering and pain in, and I want you to bring it to your higher mind and say, I would like to exchange this for the life, the world, the relationship that I do want. And I give it to you, acknowledging that my wanting was powerful enough to make it. I made it myself, and it was a mistake. And I ask you to decide for me and to give to me in exchange the life, the world, the relationship that does make me happy. And then breathe. And then take note of how you feel right now, having worked this formula, having given this little offering, this tiny change of mind, this little willingness. How do you feel now about this situation or relationship? Breathe it in. Beautiful. And then say to yourself, and when I am healed, I am not healed alone. And thank you, God. Thank you, God, for this answer. Beautiful. And then take a breath and bring your awareness back to the room, back to your body. Yawn and stretch. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, 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 guys watching on Facebook. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you guys bringing your bodies out here on a summer evening. All right. May the Course be with you. Always. All right.